Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I am bringing you guys a list of players that are fantasy football losers because of the draft. These guys went from guys that could have been on the rise, guys that you could have looked to be drafting in your draft, and now they got absolutely slapped in the face by the GMs, the owners, the coaches who made these draft day decisions to make them go from potential guys that could rise to guys that are falling draft day losers. So we're going to get into this. We're going to be talking quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. I don't believe there are any tight ends in this video. So if you guys do end up enjoying this video, please click that subscribe button down below. There's also going to be a video coming out this week, draft day winners. So let's get right into it. Fantasy football draft day losers. So the first guy here is James Conner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, James Conner, if you don't know, this is a guy that a lot of people actually like. He does have some pretty good talent, at least from my standpoint. I think he's a talented running back, but he has a lot of guys around him. Now, this year they drafted another back in Anthony McFarland in the 4th round. The running back room is very, very crowded, and this just adds to it. They already had Conner, Samuels, and Bell, and now they're adding a 4th guy in McFarland who's might even be the 2nd most talented back on the roster, maybe even the most talented when you're thinking about it as an all-around back. James Conner is very talented, but with his injury concerns and with them bringing in more guys, I think this is going to look less like a workhorse job for James Conner where he's the head honcho getting a zillion touches and more into maybe where he gets a reduced role and all these guys move in. James Conner could move into a pass-catching role and the other guys just become the regular running backs. I'm not sure, but what I am sure of is I am not getting anywhere near James Conner right now after this selection of Anthony McFarland. Before they drafted Anthony McFarland, I was kind of indifferent. I wasn't too sure what to do, but now my mind has been made. I am not going to be drafting James Conner, and that is why he is a faller, because he went from a guy that you could potentially think about drafting to a guy that now you should be steering clear away, fucking veer off the highway straight onto the side of the road, because you don't want anything to do with James Conner, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the next guy is a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. Now, the first issue is they just said, fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to draft a wide receiver. We have a 1st-round pick. We can easily get a guy like Denzel Mims, a talented wide receiver we could get here. And you know what they said? Fuck you. Let's draft Jordan Love in the 1st round. And not only did they draft Jordan Love in the 1st round, they actually decided, hey, let me trade up and select Jordan Love. Now, I don't think that hurts Aaron Rodgers, the fact that they actually just drafted Jordan Love. I don't think that hurts him. But what I think hurts him is using your 1st-round draft capital not on a wide receiver for some reason. And they also drafted A.J. Dillon in the 2nd round. And Mr. Matt LaFleur last season looked like he wanted to run the rock every single play, and that might even prove to be more true this season now that they drafted A.J. Dillon. So the next faller here is a guy that is on the exact same team as Aaron Rodgers and is also an Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Green Bay Packers run a split system in Green Bay. I just said Green Bay twice, but that's okay. They run a split running back system, a type of running back by committee, but I wouldn't consider it a committee because Aaron Jones is still going to end up being the lead guy. But Aaron Jones 2019, 663 snaps. Jamal Williams 2019, 373 snaps. So they already have 2 guys that are going to be seeing a lot of touches. And now they draft A.J. Dillon, who will likely replace Aaron Jones next year. Aaron Jones will likely be a free agent at the end of the year. I don't think Green Bay brings him back in. I think that's why they drafted A.J. Dillon. I think that A.J. Dillon is the type of build where he might be what happened to Todd Gurley a bunch of games last season, where they bring in Malcolm Brown, who's a truck to just run straight through the line and score. Aaron Jones' touchdown production, when he was being a guy that was scoring almost the most touchdowns at the running back position, he may fall completely down because A.J. Dillon is almost a surefire touchdown from 1 yard away. He'll just run it straight in, whereas Aaron Jones, you are kind of risking it. And I think that may end up happening, so I'm very worried about Aaron Jones, just because if they didn't draft A.J. Dillon, I liked Aaron Jones, but now I'm staying very clear away from him. I think that he's the potential to be a very big bust this year, especially if A.J. Dillon shows the talent that I think he does. Now, the next guy here to talk about is yet another running back in Mark Ingram of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Baltimore Ravens are drafting, and in the 2nd round, they go ahead and pull the trigger on J.K. Dobbins in the 2nd round. Now, the thing with Baltimore was last season, they were just running the ball like it was nothing. They would just they'd run it with Mark Ingram, they'd hand it to Gus Edwards, they'd hand it to any of these guys, and they would just be wide open because the defense is shitting themselves thinking Lamar Jackson might just take off. So they're doing these option type of plays, this RPO shit, and now Mark Ingram is not likely going to be, he'll be the head back probably. But with this crowded system with J.K. Dobbins now, Ingram, Edwards, Hill, I am very worried about Mr. Mark Ingram. J.K. Dobbins is a very talented pass-catching running back, and I am a bit worried about the fact that I don't think that Mark Ingram is going to be seeing as many touches as we saw last season. I think that his touchdown production also goes down. He was a guy like Aaron Jones scoring a bunch of touchdowns because it was just so easy. The Baltimore offense was humming every single game, and then the Tennessee Titans seem to have figured them out. So will the team be figured out? Will someone have figured out how the fuck to stop the Baltimore Ravens? Well, I think that already happened with the Tennessee Titans, so I'm worried that other teams don't just pull a copycat maneuver and try to figure out how to beat the Baltimore Ravens. I think that is possible. Now, I don't think that Mark Ingram is a bust. I just think that I'm not going to be drafting him as highly as I would have previously. I think his ADP falls as well because of J.K. Dobbins. Now, for the future, Mark Ingram is deceased after this because once J.K. Dobbins gets a year or two into this, he's going to be absolutely smacking up Mark Ingram. But for now, I think Mark Ingram is still fine, but his value is falling a lot due to the fact that they drafted a running back so highly. Now, something to worry about, too, is the draft capital. This is why I think it hurts him even more, is because J.K. Dobbins was drafted in the second round. He's not a guy like Anthony McFarland being drafted in the fourth round, fifth round. He's a guy that is being drafted in the second round, a guy that could have been a first-round pick if if people decided to actually pick running backs in the first round. So, Mark Ingram, to me, like I said, guys, he's not a guy that has fallen off the cliff, but he definitely has fallen because I think his volume will fall a bit down. Now, the next guy to talk about here is Kerryon Johnson, one of my favorite running backs in the league of the Detroit Lions. Now, Matt Patricia has never committed to one back. This motherfucker loves that running back by committee. It's the same shit you see in New England. He runs it kind of like that. New England, they've got like a zillion guys getting touches, and just like that now with Kerryon Johnson. They had LeGarrette Blount there, who's getting like a yard every time he touched the ball, and they were still starting him over Kerryon Johnson. Just so you know, Kerryon Johnson is the first running back to rush for over 100 yards in a game for the Detroit Lions since like 1942. That's how long ago it was. Literally, it is embarrassing because they just don't commit to a guy, and Matt Patricia will fail to do that again, especially with drafting DeAndre Swift out of the Georgia Bulldoggy Dogs in the second round. Now, another worry. Now, I don't necessarily buy into this. Oh, this is definitely true. It's not true. It's just fucking ESPN. But on ESPN, he is listed as the RB1 on the Lions depth chart. So that does worry me. Another worry. Kerryon Johnson has injury problems like a mofo. Now, he was already falling in drafts, but I think he is going to fall off the face of the earth in these drafts. I am not looking anywhere near Kerryon. I'm not even looking near DeAndre Swift due to where he fell. But for guys that were already in the league, Kerryon Johnson definitely plummets off the side of the earth after the selection of DeAndre Swift. And even if they didn't have Swift, they're still going to run a committee, but now it's going to be even worse because such a talented guy that could steal his job is there in DeAndre Swift. Now, the next guy to talk about here is Mr. Michael Gallup of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I really liked Michael Gallup. I think Michael Gallup is a very, very talented wide receiver, and I think after this year, he's free to leave. So, for the future, he'll probably be fine. But right now on Dallas, I am so worried. They drafted CeeDee Lamb in the first round, which is going to cause him to lose his spot as the number 2 target in Dallas. Now, technically, he's kind of the number 2, kind of the number 3, because Dak just dumps it off to Zeke, but now he can move to 3 or 4. I love Michael Gallup's talent, but CeeDee Lamb is just such a talented guy that CeeDee Lamb might even be the number 1 by the end of next year because Amari Cooper's a fucking bum and is injury prone. I wanted to put Michael Gallup / Amari Cooper, but I'm already so low on Amari Cooper that I don't think he's really fallen for me, but he may have fallen for the rest of the people because I think CeeDee Lamb is going to, towards the end of the year, just show that he's the best wide receiver on this team, the guy who's going to be commanding the targets, commanding the looks by Dak Prescott because he's just so talented. Michael Gallup, a talented guy, but I just worry about him. He is definitely a faller for fantasy football. If you guys have enjoyed this video thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. You don't want to miss the risers and all the other videos I put out every single day, 7 days a week. We don't sleep over here. Notorious Fantasy on Twitter, Notorious FNTSY. So the next guy to talk about here is John Ross, the sauce boss of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I love John Ross. This guy's speed is unreal. He literally looks like Usain Bolt out there on the field, Tyreek-esque speed. He is already on a team that has a crowded wide receiver core. Him. Auden Tate is a guy that, while isn't the best, pretty talented. They have AJ Green, Tyler Boyd. Now, I think AJ Green personally he's gonna be gone after the end of this year, if not traded during this year, because they tagged him. He's not good. He's too injury prone. So I kind of baked that into this. I think John Ross will still be a guy that you draft and he just goes ham like 1 week and just busts it down the field and scores like a touchdown like a guy like Mecole Hardman could do. But for the whole season, a guy that I thought could be a sleeper is no longer a sleeper for me. They draft Joe Burrow, which is better than Andy Dalton probably for the future. He'll probably put up similar numbers to what Andy Dalton would this year, but maybe slightly better. But they also ended up drafting T. Higgins, wide receiver out of Clemson, in the 2nd round. So that's not ideal for a guy who's like the wide receiver 3 on the team, now falls to 4 or 5 option on the team. I don't really like that. He's not going to be getting as many snaps, so John Ross has really fallen off the draft board for me. Now, I still think that he's a very talented player, but until AJ Green leaves, and if T. Higgins, just because they drafted him in the 2nd round, they want to play him more, that would make a lot of sense, especially since what happened was the Bengals said, they called up Joe Burrow. They said, hey, Joe, who would you like us to draft as our next wide receiver? And he hand-selected Titty Boy T. Higgins, just like what Pat Mahomes did for another guy named CEH, who we're going to be talking about later. So John Ross has fallen off the edge of the earth for me. Now, the next guy here is Damien Williams. We were talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire just before. Kansas City Chiefs running back now. The Damien Williams drafted his replacement, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, playoff Dame, as they like to call him, Damien Williams, this guy was a fucking beast in the playoffs, all right? He didn't really show up during the season. They don't really use a running back by committee. They had guys behind him, but what I think is going to happen is they may use more of a committee approach this year. I think that is what's going to happen. I think they're going to get closer, split, maybe 60-40 CEH Damien Williams. So Damien Williams is still going to be getting touches, but I just worry about it because his pass-catching work is going to get eliminated this season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has the hands of Odell Beckham or something like that, even though Odell Beckham's a bum, but he has good hands. He has amazing hands. He can catch the ball. He can do all the things you want in a running back on a high-powered offense like the Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs offense. So I think Damien Williams is by far a faller. If they didn't draft a running back, I would have drafted Damien Williams, but right now I think that CEH is just too liked. Pat Mahomes, like I said, just like with Joe Burrow and T. Higgins, he hand-selected he hand-selected Clyde Edwards-Helaire so he could dump the ball off to him. So it's going to be an easy job for Pat Mahomes to just give it to him. And I think that the coach, Andy Reid, really believes in him. He spoke very highly of CEH, so I think Damien Williams' stonks are all the way down. Now, I believe this is one of the last guys of the video. Julian Edelman, a.k.a. Julian Pedelman, shout out for him using those steroids, of the New England Deflatriots, the New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots just decided to say, fuck it, we're not going to draft a quarterback. So the question is, who is going to start for the Patriots? That's a question. Cam Newton, still not on a team. Andy Dalton goes to the Dallas Cowboys. All right, if Cam Newton appears there, is he the quarterback? Who's the quarterback? Who fucking knows, to be honest with you? Because is Jarrett Stidham even good if he's the starter? I'm kind of worried about that as well. I don't think Jarrett Stidham is very good. Now, there's going to be arguments. Oh, he only played in one game. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he's so talented. Oh, this, oh, the other thing. Maybe he is. Maybe I'm just completely wrong. But I'm just going to be staying away from Julian Edelman. If they drafted a quarterback, if they even went with a guy like Eason or Love, who I think is talented and could start day one, I like Edelman. But now, not so sure. I'm very worried about this New England pass-catching offense. And now I know there are people that say, oh, the Dark Lord, Bill Belichick, will not tank. Is he opposed to that? Is he opposed to tanking? I'm not sure, because it does not seem like they want to win drafting how they drafted in the goddamn draft, drafting 9,000 fucking tight ends that you've never heard of. So the final guy in the video, which is kind of two guys at the same time, Hunter Renfrow of the Las Vegas Raiders, as well as Tyrell Williams, pretty much. So Renfrow was the sleeper kind of guy that I really liked because he was the slot guy. Gruden loves fucking Renfrow. He loves guys from Clemson. He loves them, and he will just make sure that Derek Carr throws him the ball. Now what happened? He got bent over and fucked in the ass by John Gruden, Mike Mayock, and the drafting staff. They drafted 3 wide receivers in the draft. Hunter Renfrow's team, the Raiders, select Henry Ruggs, I should say. Sorry, Henry Ruggs the third out of Alabama in the first round. In the third round, you know what they do? They say, fuck it, let's draft 2 wide receivers. They draft Lynn Bowden Jr. and Bryan Edwards. Now, I don't think those guys are super talented, but Jesus, there's like 5 zillion guys in the wide receiver core for the Las Vegas Raiders, so I'm staying clear away from any of these guys in redraft. I am just going to say, fuck you, Raiders. I ain't drafting any of you guys because this is too confusing of a situation for me. I am not going to be drafting Hunter Renfrow, Tyrell Williams, any of these guys. They have fallen completely, but maybe that just means that Derek Carr might be on the rise. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, please click that subscribe button down below or on your screen right now. Check the video above, the video to the left, or the video to the top left. I love each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to have a blessed rest of your day, and peace out. See you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.